A few months ago, I took the Rory Gilmore quiz to check out how many books mentioned in the Gilmore Girls TV series I actually read. I don't remember exactly how many books I took, but I remember it was above the average quiz taker. But because I am both a bookworm and a Gilmore Girls fan, and to be honest, I wasn't that much different than Rory Gilmore was in high school, I decided to embark on a side quest where I read as many books mentioned in the Gilmore Girls series as possible. I already own quite a bit of the books that are mentioned and I still haven't read, so it just seemed fitting. It just seemed like a perfect way to shrink my physical TBR, at the same time having the experience to be as well read as Rory Gilmore. So welcome to my journey to read as many books as Rory Gilmore as possible, or I think we could call this the Rory Gilmore challenge. In episode 1, the first victim of my experiment is Flowers for Algernon by Daniel Keyes. Let me first explain the structure of this video, just so you can go straight to the part you want to watch the most or what you want the most for this video. The first section of this video is an about the book section, where I will tell you a few curiosities about this book. The second section will be a summary of the book, where I will give you a brief summary of what this book is about. I believe I do have some B-roll from me reading this book, so if it isn't hideous, I will be adding this B-roll to this video, so you can experience a little bit of the journey with me. And then I'll give you a final review for this book, where I'll talk about my opinions and also a little bit about the writing of the book. And the final section, and probably the shortest section in this video, will be the spoiler section, which is the section where I'll give you a few spoilers about the book. So if you haven't read it yet, you will be able to click out of this video without getting any spoilers and without really missing anything about our discussion of the book. Let's start the video with section 1, about the book. Flowers for Algernon was first written in 1958 as a short story, and it was initially published in the April 1959 edition of the Magazine of Fantasy and Science Fiction. In 1960, it won the Hugo Awards for Best Short Story, and it was later expanded and published as a novel in 1966, winning that year's Nebula Award for Best Novel, together with Samuel R. Delaney's Babel 17. A parenthesis in case you don't know what the Nebula or the Hugo Awards are. Let me quickly explain what each of these awards are and what are the difference between them. The Hugo Awards is an annual literary award given to the best science fiction or fantasy achievements from the previous year, and this award has been going on since 1955. Considered one of the premier awards in the science fiction realm, it is given by the World Science Fiction Society and was named after Hugo Gernsback, the founder of the pioneering science fiction magazine Amazing Stories. While the Nebula Award, it is also an annual science fiction and fantasy award, but it is given only for works published in the United States. The Nebula were first given in 1966, and they are awarded by the Science Fiction and Fantasy Writers Association. Before we jump to the next section, an important thing to notice about this book is that the pivotal moment that inspired Daniel Keyes to write this novel happened in 1957 when he was teaching an English class for a special needs student class. In the middle of the class, one of the students stood up and asked the author if he worked hard enough and became intelligent, if he would be able to be put in an ordinary class. Now to section 2, the summary of the book. Flowers for Algernon follows a lab mouse called Algernon, and Charlie Gordon, he's a human male that is retarded. He is very mentally disabled. At the beginning of the book, he has an IQ of only 68 and he's working at a menial job at a bakery just so he doesn't end up in a state facility for the retarded. And he's also studying reading and writing at a school specialized in retarded adults. Even though he barely retains anything he learns, Charlie, he has this deep motivation and desire to become intelligent. One day, two researchers, they go to the school Charlie attends, and they go there because they are looking for someone to undergo an intelligent enhancer surgery. It's very experimental, and they had already tried this procedure on the mouse Algernon, and it had been really successful. So now they were looking for a human test subject. So Charlie undergoes this procedure, and for him it is also successful. And in the book we follow Charlie's journey of going from being a retarded adult with an IQ of 68 to being an extreme genius. So this book, it touches on subjects such as the morality and ethics of human testing and of the treatment of the mentally disabled, and throughout the years it has battled being banned in multiple libraries throughout the United States and Canada. I'm currently at 10% of Flowers of Algernon. The reading experience is something interesting because this book is, so far, it is told through psychological... I forgot the name, oh my god, my mind's blanking. But the main character, he's writing his experience during this experiment, and he has some learning disabilities and he spells everything wrong, and that's written, so the text is purposely full of writing and grammar mistakes, and it's kind of, you need to adapt to it, but it is interesting. And it's also really, there's something really nice seeing how this character is progressing in his writing and his experience at getting smarter, because that's how they say in the book. I'm around halfway through Flowers for Algernon, and so far the character, he went from not being able to spell and not being the brightest to being really book smart because he does this surgery. And I think it's so interesting to follow his journey through his writing as he writes for the doctor to analyze in his research. I think it's really interesting to see the experience from the character's point of view of going from having learning disabilities to becoming really book smart. But I think what's most interesting is seeing how, even though he's really book smart, he's emotionally not smart at all. He's pretty much a little kid. He doesn't really know how to deal with his emotions, how to deal with his body, why his body is reacting these ways, and it's really interesting to watch this journey for the character. Okay, so it's review time. Besides the plot, the storytelling of this book was also very unique. We follow this story through the point of view of progress reports written by Charlie himself. And these progress reports, they start being written a few days before he takes the surgery, and then we follow these progress reports until the end of the novel. I'm not going to give spoilers in this section, so I can't really say until when these progress reports go on. But we have progress reports, and that's how we experience this journey of Charlie. I personally think it's really interesting and powerful to experience this journey through the POV of Charlie and witnessing the many grammar mistakes and his difficulty in learning and processing things and understanding what was going on at the beginning of the video when he still has an IQ of 68, or when his IQ was just starting out to develop, and then how it changes when he becomes really smart, becomes a genius. And then we witness his journey at understanding what was going on, understanding the world, but also not only the growing IQ, but also dealing with the emotional aspects of life. I really enjoyed the discussion of a high IQ doesn't necessarily equals a high EQ. And I think it was also really powerful to witness this genius man. He has barely any idea how to emotionally deal with the stuff that is going on, or the stuff that is now understanding what's going on in his life, how people were treating him. His emotions are all over the place. He has zero control of them, and I think it's really powerful, this discussion of IQ and EQ and the difference, and why a balance in both them, it's actually very important. I personally found the beginning of the book to be really gripping and impactful, but around the 54% mark, I wasn't feeling drawn to read this book. In the end, I ended up giving this book a 4 stars, mainly because I really enjoyed the beginning, but the end, it's not that I didn't enjoy it. I still thought it was powerful, it was impactful, I enjoyed the reading experience, but I just wasn't gravitating towards that book. And overall, I think this book, it's really interesting, it's really unique. I don't remember reading a book that was similar to this ever, and it's a book that will make you happy, it will make you angry, it will make you sad, and yeah, if you like classic sci-fi, because did I say this in the beginning of the video, this is a classic sci-fi speculative fiction novel, and if you like classic sci-fi, I think this is a really good option. I actually think it's a must read, and actually if you like science fiction and literary fiction, you might really enjoy this novel. So now let's move on to the spoilers section, and this section will be very short because all I have to do is, oh, this book had 0 rights being said. Why did it go from being a state where I was angry at how the people were treating Charlie, and then angry at Charlie, and then I'm sad, and I continue to be sad, and if I was a more emotional person, I might have cried at the end of this book. Because why did Charlie needed to, couldn't he just become a regular human? Not a regular human, couldn't he become a person with just a regular ass IQ instead of having a worse IQ than he had before? And because he had that experience of being a genius, he knows the difference and what it feels like to understand everything about the world. And now he understands he can learn anything, he can remember anything, because his IQ is actually worse than it was before. Also, why did they need to kill Algernon? Couldn't they keep Algernon as a regular as lab mouse? Why did they kill Algernon? Algernon didn't deserve that, he was so cute. And yes, I didn't see Algernon because this is just words on the page and there's no image, but still, I imagine Algernon to be really good. I imagine Algernon to be Stuart Little. Why did they need to kill Algernon? So yes, that's it for this video. If you like it, give a like, subscribe, and I will see you soon. Bye!